How about the game at the Emirates, which kicked things off in the Premier League yesterday? The goals were flowing for Arsenal as they put 5 past Crystal Palace to put an end to their losing run. The 3 points takes them to within just 2 now of Liverpool at the top of the Premier League. But of course, they do play Bournemouth later on today. Yet more misery on the Palace boss, Roy Hodgson, whose side have won just once in 11. Palace fans even unfurled a banner in the away end that read, "Wasted potential on and off the pitch, weak decisions taking us backwards." Hodgson spoke to talkSPORT's Sam Matterface after the game and what he thought of Palace's fan reaction.
I think that's a question that really answers itself. I mean, I've been in the game a long time. I think I still have qualities. I think our coaching staff has qualities. I think we're working in the right way. So, of course, I think we're the right person or the right people. But the fact is, it would be a bit surprising if I was to say to you, I don't think we are now. I think we're hopeless. I think someone else should do it. Is that what you're asking or expecting me to say?
No, we're not expecting you to say anything, but I think it's probably pertinent, especially in the circumstances, to have a discussion about it, because the Crystal Palace fans will be asking that question. And, you know, you've experienced lots of things up and downs over the course of your career.
I have, yes, and I've been in this situation before too. I've been in this situation with Palace before, when things haven't been going very well and we've had to fight our way out of relegation situations. But the fact is, these sort of questions are questions which no manager can seriously answer unless that manager has such a poor opinion of himself that he thinks the answer to your question should be, no, I don't think I'm the right man to do the job. So it's one of those questions, I think, which are self-answered.
OK, well, as a result of that defeat, Cass, they're now 15th in the table. I know you sort of mentioned it before we came on air. You think time is certainly running out for Roy.
Well, I think it's going to be a really difficult week. And I wouldn't be surprised if the club pulled the rug under his feet away from him at the football club. I wouldn't be surprised because it was a terrible performance. Arsenal were in second gear nearly the whole game. There is a bigger picture here, and it's Crystal Palace. And I've talked about Palace. I got so many Palace fans that I live, not far from that area. And they all seem to have the same feeling about their club, and I've called it a redundant club, and I did a big piece on it about 2 years ago about this club that do very little in the transfer market. Yes, you get the odd youngster come through. Their transfer record is not particularly that great. They don't go and spend big money on hardly anybody. And I just look at them as a 40-point club. 40-point club is their objective, no more. I mean, I don't know how it works at Palace, but, I do find it strange that, Steve Parish is coming under criticism now. The way the club's being run. They see so many other clubs being ambitious, and obviously they're affected by that because, yes, you can be prudent and you can stagnate slightly, which is where Palace are for me at the moment. But when you watch yesterday's performance, and I feel a bit for Roy, I do, because, he's been around the block and I said yesterday, yes, I do think it's time to move on, but I do think it's the end of the season as well. I don't think it's a right thing to just... But they might do. Football never surprises us. This week, I'd be surprised if Roy gets through this week. I
mean, that is the problem, isn't it, for Palace, is that it does feel as though there's a lack of ambition. They don't spend great amounts of money when it comes to transfers, like you've alluded to already. So, in that sense, Roy is... You can't blame him for that. He can only do what he can do with the resources that he's given. I still go back to last season when he took over at Palace, and it just felt that there was a different Palace. Yeah. That the way that they attacked, there was an excitement to Palace when he first took over. We were all saying, where was this Roy Hodgson Palace? Yeah, it feels as though they're slightly reverting back to type.
Well, we reverted back to where Patrick Vieira was, basically. Yeah. Look, I'm not advocating that Crystal Palace go out and blow all the money.
No.
I'm trying to... But being competitive and showing some ambition within a club...
Well, you've got to help out a manager.
Yeah, and Roy's a club man. So he's never really going to say anything against people upstairs or he's not that type of man. So, fair play to him for that. But it's going to be a tricky week. It really is. For him and where the club and how they react to the criticism. Arsenal didn't have to play particularly well yesterday and won 5-0. And there were the late goals. But their set pieces were poor, the way they defended them. Roy's gone back-to-back games, Everton away, and yesterday at Arsenal, where they've gone 5 at the back, basically, and they've conceded in them games, 6 goals, the FA Cup game and 5 yesterday, and haven't really looked at that much of a threat, I didn't think.
No, haven't scored in their last 3 as well in all competitions.
All of that creates a big problem.
Yeah. Their next game, by the way, Sheffield United at home, which is on the 30th of January. They've also got Burnley coming up. I'm not saying they're in the relegation fight as such, although positionally they are, but we all might...
Palace fans will tell you they are.
But there's still a lot of us that might think that they've got enough to get themselves out of the trouble. That being said, you've got to beat the likes of Sheffield United. You've got to beat Burnley, like I mentioned. And not that long, and I think in March, they play Luton as well. So those are the teams they definitely have to beat if they want to pull away, certainly from the bottom 3.
Weekend Sports Breakfast with Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino. Sunday mornings from 6 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.